everyone. So let's go ahead and go over our goal for today. So really we put this together. It's about a 30-minute webinar about the newest Blackboard Ultra updates and how to utilize all these features to increase class effectiveness. Now, I like to go over the toolbar functions in Zoom. So first one, you can mute or unmute. We have a smaller group today, so feel free if there is a relevant moment, just go ahead and unmute that microphone. You can also turn on your video camera by clicking on that start video icon. And we have the chat box. We will be checking that throughout the session today. If there are any questions that come up, feel free to put those in the chat box so we can answer them. Last but not least, reactions are great during any kind of webinar, whether that be on WebEx or Zoom. This is a great tool you can use with your students, by the way. If you click on the reactions button, there are some quick ones like a thumbs up. You can give me some love with that heart. If you'd like to change the skin tone, click on those three dots. And you'll see in the lower right corner, there's a little option to change the skin tone of these emojis and reactions as well. So very nice feature within Zoom. Let's get started. So our agenda for today, we'll do part one with flexible grading. Julian will go over some of those extra features and improvements with grading. Part two, I'll go over some user experience improvements or UX improvements with that. And part three, Pat will go over learning module and file updates within Blackboard Ultra. And we'll have some time at the end for questions and next steps. So first, a quick update about our web conferencing tools. We still do recommend that all faculty use either WebEx or Zoom when you are having your classes online. Blackboard Collaborate will be phased out, so we do recommend starting now, start using WebEx or Zoom. If you do have any questions about getting started with this, please check out our resources at the C.A.L website. I'll put that in shortly, or you can email us at calhelpdesk@udc.edu, and we're more than happy to help you get started with this. Are there any questions about the changes with our web conferencing tools? Excellent. And
Great.
Pat, if you can go over some of the updates with these pop-ups.
So hopefully, hello everyone. Hopefully you've all seen this notification before, but if you haven't, every month Blackboard releases updates, and at some point after an update has been released, you will see this notification pop up when you enter into Blackboard. And basically, this is just telling you that here's a list of some updates that have been released to the production side. There's the release version, which is 39. The latest one is 3900.74. And right under that, there's a link so that you can actually read about the updates. And that's something that if you haven't been doing, I encourage you, please read about the latest updates on Blackboard. It's the best way to get the most value out of the product. I read about the updates, not just because I have to, but I want to be able to serve you better, serve the community better, and I'm sure you want to be able to serve your students better as well. So the best way to do that is to know about as much about the platform as you possibly can. And right now, the best way to do that is reading about the updates. Any questions about that? Anything you want to add, David?
Yeah, Pat, do they release these every month?
Yes, updates are released every month. That notification won't necessarily pop up right after the release, but maybe a few days after the release, and you log into Blackboard for the first time, or maybe even the second time, you will see that notification. And we can put the link to that release notes file in the chat box. If you've already seen that notification, but you bypassed it, David can put that link in the chat box so that you can, whenever you want to, you can go to that those release notes and read about all those updates.
Yeah, and these are quite helpful because they also include screenshots, getting started tips, also showing the instructor perspective and the student perspective.
Yes,
well.
absolutely. Best way to get the most value out of the product.
Yep. Thank you, Pat. So let's transition into part one with Julian and talking about flexible grading.
Well, happy Thursday to everyone. Once again, I'm Julian King, our instructional design specialist and gradebook whiz. So of course I have to bring the best updates for grading. So Blackboard's updates include flexible grading options. This is kind of, they've built more of an intuitive process for this that kind of allows for more seamless grading. You can now filter assignments that need grading or assignments that are already graded. You can grade assignments by specific student. You can grade assignments by questions, which is a really great feature if you include a lot of open-ended questions or essay questions in your assignments or assessments. And now you can navigate between students and multiple submission attempts a lot more seamlessly. So essentially, it just saves us more time when it comes to grading. We know the system may not have been the best early on as we were trying to navigate through it, but it is really a lot more intuitive and seamless now going into this fall semester. David?
Yeah, and I see Dr. Cruz has her hand raised.
Oh, yes, Dr. Cruz.
Of course I do.
Perfect.
So I've been having a little challenge with this feature. I think it's great. It's a change, which we have to get used to. But every once in a while, I have it's saying something needs to be graded for a student, but I've graded it. And I can't figure out what I'm not doing to get rid of that last student submission for some reason. Sometimes if you put the grade in the final grade, that is an issue. But in some cases, I'm not able to figure out how to get rid of it.
So I can work with you one-on-one specifically because it can be one of two things. It could be the grade is going into the override position, which means that the actual attempt may not have been opened and graded, or it can mean that that student may have multiple submissions as well.
Both of those things. Both of those things I've fixed in some cases, but in this one case where it's still showing there, it's probably both of those things happening. Okay.
It's fine. I know we all this. I'll see you soon.
I was just gonna add, yeah, I just delete them because sometimes it looks like a nuisance. I know some of us who are like over controlling and don't want to see that needs grading. I just delete the other attempts and just get rid of them.
Yeah, because if you have multiple attempts, it will always say it needs grading because there's always one attempt that isn't graded yet.
Because in this case, I can't seem to find the other attempt. It's kind of a weird situation. And I would delete it if I could, Kelly, but
Well, I'm gonna come see you about that, and we're gonna fix that issue. But thank you for your question. Go ahead, Dave. So kind of peeling back to that, you can filter assignments by grading status. So typically when you open up an assignment now, you'll be able to see whether all the grading statuses, which is students who haven't done it, students who have done it, students who have already been graded, or you have the option of choosing needs grading, which would be all the students who submitted something and it needs a grade and put it into the system. The ability to switch between students, and I like this one a little bit more. Now that kind of bar at the top has kind of disappeared, and now you see all your students to the left-hand side in the column, so you're able to kind of go down methodically and see each student's grade. This is great when you're comparing different students' grades and how they may have done on specific assignments. Before, you had to kind of exit back out and see, hey, what did this student get, and go back in. Now it kind of gives you that ability to do it a little more seamlessly. This is the piece that I was really excited about, especially as faculty member that does a lot of essays and open-ended questions, being able to grade students, be able to grade assignments based on the questions. So being able to specifically go to questions and scroll through different students' responses on that specific question. Great, like I said, great feature when you are using a lot of open-ended and essay questions. It also works for multiple choice and true or false. Even though we use EAC to track that data, if you're ever just trying to see, hey, I wonder how all these students did on this specific true or false question, you're able to kind of comprise your own data based on the gradebook's ability. I think I got one more. Yeah, and Dr. Hill, you're absolutely right. You can compare those answers on the same page. And I think that was big for when you're really looking to see where students are on a specific learning objective that you're aligning to that question, to see how students are responding to that question and be able to kind of comprise your next lesson based off of that. And then I think something to Dr. Cruz's attempt, these multiple submissions, where students are having multiple submissions for one assignment. And even though you may grade one, it still may show one attempt left to grade. But it easily now lets you kind of filter through that so that you can get to those students who have multiple attempts. and grade all of their assignments, or at least grade one and delete the other. So it just kind of makes it a little bit easier for us. Not as much traveling back and forth to multiple pages. Everything is really kind of comprised and centralized in this one space. And with that, I think, do I have any questions about our flexible grading? I think David put my email in the chat. Once again, I am a gradebook whiz. So if you have any questions or something looks a little funky in your gradebook, please do not hesitate to reach out. I am always available for that.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Julian. And I'll transition to part 2. So let's talk about some of the user experience improvements that can really save time and really just help you grade or look at things more effectively on Blackboard. So first one is batch editing. Now you can finally batch edit, and that can streamline and expedite really repetitive tasks. And I know for a lot of faculty, when you are teaching the same course from semester to semester, this is a really easy way to batch edit, especially dates, really, really quickly, or you can make things visible or hidden really quickly. So this applies to all items inside of folders and learning modules. Let's go over how to access this and the different options here. So in the upper right corner, when you are in your Blackboard course, click on those 3 dots, and the first option will be batch edit. So just like you see in my screenshot, once you click on batch edit, that'll give you some options on what to do here. So first, I want to point out in the lower right corner, when you do click on batch editing, there are 3 different options here. Number 1 is edit dates. Number 2 is edit visibility, and number 3 is delete items. So if you do have a course or you're, kind of taking over an older course and you want to update it, this is a really great way to update that very, very quickly here. So first one I want to talk about is the edit dates or shift dates option. You can select all items and shift the dates forward before you adjust the dates for each item. So this is great if you really need to kind of quickly fix the due dates for an older course. Let's say you're going from fall to spring. This is an easy way to do that. And there are 2 things here. So first one is changing dates based on the course start. So you have the current start date, and then let's put the new start date. Let's say it's 10 days from now. You can also change dates by a number of days. So let's say you just need to shift everything by a week. You're able to do that now very quickly. And you can do this for all assignments or items in your course. Any questions about this so far? Great, let's look at the next one. Next one is adjusting visibility. I know sometimes when we are updating content pieces in Blackboard, let's say we just want to hide multiple things at once. So now you can go ahead and select, make it hidden or visible to students when you are ready to show them that content. And last but not least is deleting items. If you do need to delete items, multiple items, you can set them to permanently delete. So again, that's editing dates, editing visibility, and also deleting items via the batch editing feature. You don't have to do it one by one anymore. Now, along the same lines, let's talk about copying announcements. I know for me, this is really, really helpful now because say for the HighFlex training, I don't have to redo or remake my announcements. I can copy my announcements from a previous iteration of that course or training into my current one. So to support reuse, instructors can now copy specific announcements or all announcements from another course. When copied, each announcement will be set as a draft. It won't post right away. It'll just be a draft which you can edit, and then you can choose when to post that. So let's go over how to do this. So here's a walkthrough video, and I'll kind of annotate as we go along. So in the upper right corner of my current course, I can click on Copy Items. And I'll click a course, let's say a HighFlex training from spring of last year, and I'll click on Announcements. I have 4 announcements that I want to copy over. I'll just go ahead and select those and click on Start Copy. When this does copy over, again, it will be saved as a draft. So let's go to Announcements here. And you'll see those 4 announcements are saved as drafts. So I can choose when to post them. I can also edit them. So let me just highlight right here. You'll see those 4 announcements I just copied over. I can now edit them and then choose when to post that. Any questions about this? But super helpful, right, when you are doing those courses in different semesters. And I do want to talk about progress tracking. Now, when a student submits their work, their progress status updates to complete. This change ensures better reporting for instructors and accurate progress tracking for students. So this really just shows the student where they are in the course, what they have to complete. So if you look here, I'll just kind of go over some of these symbols. You'll see an empty circle. That means they haven't clicked on it and they haven't completed it. We have one where they've started it, but they haven't submitted it yet. And then you see the last one with the check mark. That means they have completed it and submitted it. Let's go over how to turn this on as an instructor. So when you are in your Blackboard course, you'll see here I'm listed as a course faculty. On the left-hand side in the toolbar, the third option says progress tracking. You can turn that on. In this screenshot, I have it on. If you do want to turn that off for any reason, you can just click on turn off, and you're able to turn it on and off as many times as you would like. And then a great option here is, as an instructor, you are able to check the progress for individual students. So when you go to your gradebook for students, you can click on their name, and you'll see right there it says progress, that tab. When you click on that, it'll show you their progress in the course. So say you just want to pinpoint a specific student in your class, how they're doing in the class, you can see kind of the trend from beginning to end. And here's the student view for progress tracking when they are in a learning module or folder. You can see here, Introduction to Space Exploration. They've completed 1 out of 5 assignments or activities here. And then you'll see right there, it says start, not started in that second one. And right here, it says you've completed 2 out of 3 released items. This is a great way for your students to keep track of their progress in your course. And last but not least, I love these red flag alerts. You can identify students that are at risk. I know this can be challenging in a larger classroom or if you have multiple classes, so you can set some alerts. And there are 2 alerts you can set: the number of days a student is inactive in the course, or a student's overall grade in the course is below a specific percentage. Let's go over how to turn this on. So when you are in your course, you'll see that toolbar at the top. Click on this first one. It says Analytics right here. And then Course Activity is that first one on the left. So Analytics and Course Activity. And then you can set the alert and you can modify this. So for example, if a student is inactive, they haven't logged into Blackboard or my course, let's say for 10 days or more, I'll get a red flag alert as the instructor so I can check in on that student. Or let's say a student's overall grade percentage goes below 50%, right? I want to help them. I want to get an alert for that. These are alerts I can set for myself as red flag alerts. So here's how it looks like. If I look at analytics and course activity, just like I showed you in the previous screenshot, here are 4 red flag alerts. And if I hover over the flag, low overall grade alert. You can see in this example that student has 0%. I need to check in on that student. Here's another student that has 40%. And if it's a student that has been inactive, let's say 10 days or more, you'll also get an alert for that. And a great thing is in Blackboard, if you look at your stream, you know that activity stream right below your name. 4 students are falling behind, including 2 absent and 4 failing. So as an instructor, that just alerts me I need to go ahead and check in on those students. Any questions before we move on to the next part? Great, and Pat, take it away.
Yes, thank you, David, for that. So the last portion of this, I'm going to talk a little bit about learning modules and file updates. So for learning modules, I'm sure we're all familiar with that. Learning modules provide a great way to organize and structure your content. So to enhance visual aesthetics of a course and to aid in content identification, you can now add images to your learning modules. So I'm going to play a video on how to do that.
To add an image to your module, navigate to a module and click on Edit. You can click this icon here to add an image, or you can click Add Image. Select Upload File and search for your image. Select your image and click Open. you will see a preview of your image. Select Next if you like the image, or you can click the trash can icon to delete the image and start over. I am happy with this image, so I will select Next. If you want to resize the image, you can use the slider to make adjustments. Select Save to add the image. Then select Save again. Your image has been added to your module.
Right, so that's a great way to improve overall feel and look of your modules. Let's move on to workflow enhancements. So Blackboard, they're always looking for ways to improve efficiency when it comes to creating course content. So one way they have improved upon that is drag and drop. So you now have the ability to drag and drop files and folders right into the course content section. So I'm going to play a video on how to do that.
To drag and drop a file to the course content page, locate the file on your computer and drag it to the area where you would like it to appear in your course. I will drag the file above my other documents in this example. Before saving, you can change the name of the file. When you are done, click Save. As you can see, the file has now been added to my course. And here is the file.
All right. So one more workflow enhancement is easy file replacement. So you can now easily replace files without even affecting your course size. I know in the past, whenever you would replace a file, the file would still be on the back end of Blackboard, taking up some of your space, but now you can replace files easily. And you cannot, and actually when you replace the file, you don't even have to alter the file name. So I'm going to play a quick video on how to do that.
To replace an existing file in your course, navigate to the file you would like to replace and select Edit. Next, select Replace. Select the file you wish to use to replace the existing file. I will choose this revised version of my current file and click Open. As you can see, my replacement file is being uploaded. After the file has been uploaded, click Save. My file has now been replaced without even changing the original file's name. And here is my replacement file.
Awesome. So do we have any questions about these last few updates? Great. Take it away, David.
Yeah, and then this slide you can just ignore, but it is about breakout sessions. If you are using WebEx, if you do have any questions about that, go ahead and let us know. So before we go, if you do have any questions, you can go ahead and ask them right here, either in the chat box or just unmute, or you can email us at our our email at calhelpdesk@udc.edu. I also want to highlight our next webinar. It's called Unlocking Student Potential, Low Stakes Writing Strategies. That's with Professor Craig Wynn, an associate professor of English. This should be a great session. This is the first of 3. Even if you can't make it, if you go ahead and register, we'll send you the YouTube link right after. So that is next Wednesday, September 20th at 2 to 3 p.m. Go ahead and scan that QR code. And Dr. Hill, go ahead.
So I don't know if this is a question for the Hypothesis company, but when I try to do Hypothesis and the students are opening Hypothesis, it doesn't show that they have opened it. It's showing them that they don't have a grade on Blackboard, I think. So I can't really show them anything about hypothesis until I grade their actual annotations in there. So is there a way to ensure that the students aren't confused about it saying unopened, or is that a question more so for hypothesis?
Yeah, so I know exactly what you're talking about, right? When they do annotate it, it shows both for the instructor and the student, right, that it's been unopened.
Yeah.
So kind of the workaround for me is once I grade it and I submit it within hypothesis, then it'll kind of alert them that it's been submitted. I think just kind of either putting that in the instructions, you know, when you edit the description for hypothesis that, you know, it may take time to show this has been reflected or that you've finished this, or just let your students know. But that's a great question. So what I'll do, Dr. Hill, I'm going to talk with our hypothesis rep about that, if they're planning on updating that or if something else has changed. But great question.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions we can answer? But yes, I want to thank the whole team for coming here today, helping with the presentation. And I hope that you like this kind of truncated 30-minute webinar. I am planning on doing more of these, kind of a lunch and learn. So really maximizing time and providing value. But we do hope that we see you next week for our next webinar. And please feel free to email us. Again, that's calhelpdesk@udc.edu. I'll also put the links from today in the chat box for you if you'd like to click on those or save them. If you click on the lower right corner of your chat box, there are 3 dots there, and then click on Save Chat. That'll save it on your computer. But the links that I put in there are the first one, Blackboard Ultra Release Notes. Again, our version is 3900.74. We also have our YouTube channel. I will be uploading this quite shortly. And our next webinar with Dr. Craig Wynn is on Wednesday, September 20th, if you'd like to sign up for that. And last but not least, our calhelpdesk@udc.edu email. So thank you again, everyone, for coming today. We know that your time is very valuable, so thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you very soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.